All right, ladies and gentlemen, so I'm going to make this video because it's important to know that I'm not lying, right? So I'm without my shirt and I look buff, but I'm not. This is actually, might be a lot of watery mucus, believe it or not. So that's why it's good to work out and eat clean foods. So shout out to Dan the Man. Um, Believe it or not, you have no idea how easy it is for people to enslave people after a 9-month period of incarceration, especially after people have been observing you um, for a long time. So basically, a lot of what I've learned is that, your body, when people are working out and trying to get buff, and if you don't eat the right foods, or if you don't eat um, like organic foods, raw vegetables, raw fruits, get that natural sugar in your body is not going to be able to repair itself the way it should. And you're going to develop mucus in your muscles. So even though you're buff, you're still going to have a mucousy lymphatic system. So your lymph fluid is what pushes out the toxins from your organs in your body, and it excretes them through your urine and through your feces. And basically, so I just want to get that cleared out, that I can be a lot better, but I want you guys to understand that I wouldn't be the same person. I wouldn't know what I know now, you see? And I wouldn't be able to articulate what is going on so that other people can live. Because if they incorporate a city and you have a like citizen X or citizen Y, right? Or A or B or whatever you want to label them, a variable, it's very dangerous when they take that mold and they apply that to everybody without people knowing. So we naturally have our intuition abilities that are slowly being taken away from us. And ladies and gentlemen, by now, a lot of people have lost a lot. If it wasn't for the programs to keep people working out and healthy and stuff, but it's not for indefinite. It's supposed to be just until you can get your mind back. And a lot of people are trying to carry it out like indefinitely. Look at my whiteboard picture of like RCAF and Tuskegee, and how that has transpired over time since 1947. So again, basically, my mother is also going through the same thing. She has bilateral plantar fasciitis, and she has fibromyalgia, and she's also overweight. The difference is this: she eats all kinds of foods, sugars, too much of that stuff, and it kills me to see that. And I want to tell her, I'm like, Mom, stop that, and she doesn't. And it's almost like a quiet battle telepathically. I'm like, Mom, eat healthy. Come on. I'm like, I can't eat healthy like Dan the Man right now, but what I can do is stop eating and just drink, and sometimes I'm not satisfied with just water, so I get beer. You see, it helps me maintain my sanity, you see, and I have to represent myself every single day so that way people understand how I survive the factors of the field of my environment, because other people are going to lie and say that he's surviving some other way, or they're going to put overlapping narrative over the city that encompasses everybody's family, so that way they can explain their existence or whatever. And so ladies and gentlemen, again, I don't eat too much, and if I do eat, it's just like beans. And guys, I'm not gonna lie, I really don't care what I eat sometimes, I've sometimes I just don't care about that. I care about where my mind is at, about keeping track of these auditory hallucinations, that I can articulate how They are not auditory hallucinations, and how it's like the Wizard of Oz type scenario. But also, ladies and gentlemen, there are people that is necessary. So that, like, how you say, my brothers, you know, like the Hindu people that went through September 11th, 2001 here in Sacramento, what transpired with them, you know? That's what is, we don't want them to be, we don't want to use them as a battery, you know? And I'm here to prove that, so that the buck stops here at that level, because that's, that is, that is my purpose. If it, other than being with my female human childbearing counterpart, that is my purpose. See, because that protects all tuning forks. You see, the body, the spirit together. It keeps it together. So that's where it humanizes people. That's where it makes you human to want to die for a heavenly cause with your brother. You see, and that's the case that I'm trying to make. That my opposition for Monterey Trail is mimicking, and they don't care about anything that I have to say, because I wasn't able to say it when I was that age. So now it's 2026, and I'm able to articulate what is going on, articulate how these auditory hallucinations have been happening since I got out of Rio Consumers Correctional Center, and how it was almost like deliberate. Like, I've been in observation for a certain point, and then by the hand of God or whatever, it's just deliberate that that's what has to happen. So think of it, it's not me going against anybody, but it's just, that's the way it is. Like a parachuting, when people are parachuting and you get that green light, everybody has to fly out at that same rate. And that is what is going on. People are trying to mess that up, and they have, but not anymore. So the pinnacle right now is the Hindu people here in Sacramento, California, that because they have been through the most of targeting after September 11th, 2001. And a lot of that could be because they weren't able to articulate what I'm saying right now. So what I'm saying right now is only available because I was protected. And I know it wasn't just the Hindus that protected me, but they were the first. And then that's the thing, I don't know about anybody else. So in that sense, ladies and gentlemen, you understand. You understand who it is, what a human being is. And so you can self-reflect and see that your life schedule that your parents gave you or whatever was just so that way you could survive to the point of saving yourself. Because at the end of the day, they're making it very clear that if you don't have an agency, right, or if you don't risk your life or put your life on the line for your people, nobody else is going to. And guys, humanity has been through so many distractions, so much like noise, right, that it's very important that we seek that that you understand there should be no discrepancies. And whatever has happened, like whatever injustices that has happened and that are happening, because everybody needs to have an agency, which is, guys, it should be universal code. Universal code and natural order should be known. So what does that mean? That means that these people, that all the soccer fans, they're going to be facing injustice if we don't have a system here or something to let them know, let them know that, okay, this is who we are, and this is what we die for. So what are you living and what are you dying for? You know, like, not even dying for, but like, to slow people down from that World Cup hype, okay? Almost like after September 11th, the same thing, tragedy, mass surveillance, and hype, you see? Or if not hype, you know, people go out into war or whatever, they fight. Guys, this all doesn't come down on the regular citizen, but it comes down on the people that are in positions of like like Dianne Feinstein. Like, why was she up there for all those years, you know? Or like Joe Biden, you know, these people on these positions for so long is because they need that spark to remember why they were there. But that's the thing. That's too big. That is another level. Right now we're talking about Sacramento and Elk Grove, specifically Elk Grove, and the situation going on in that 2-acre parcel here of Maya Glorious being Sacramento, and the rest Elk Grove, and me and my female human child bearing counterpart to be secured first, and Raymond Case Elementary School and my parents' house. Like, secure first that, and then follow that model. Follow that model. You see, if you can articulate that, you know, and if we know who you are, number one, who's we? If I know who you are, you know, because that's what everything is about, ladies and gentlemen. Subjective synthesis and objective negation. So now I could almost feel like, now that I'm able to articulate things better, I scare off Malone Brown descendants and friends. I scare off Jaylen Brown descendants and friends. My opposition from Monterey Trail, and all that, whatever is extra that stems from that, just by me articulating things, it in the name of Jesus Christ and God, ladies and gentlemen, they stay away, and I can almost feel mentally alleviated to be able to start working, like, on cleaning the shower here at Maya Glorious, or, you know, taking out the stains from the walls and stuff like that, like starting to fix this house up again, you see. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, it's like, just like working out, you get endorphins. I can't force myself to do that because those endorphins throw off my train of thought. So sometimes it's like I get a train of thought and I try to keep following it, but at the same time I want to work out, but I can't because I have to get this other thought, and then I finish the thought. Okay, all right, now I can work out. Now I can clean my house, or the house, my room, whatever. See, whatever Maya Gloria lets me clean. You see, I can't just do everything here. It's her house. It's her home. You see. But then that's the thing. I get another train of thought, and then, okay, I have to finish the train of thought. Then I stop. I can't do anything, and then chase it. And then once I finish that train of thought, then, okay, back to cutting the grass. Back to whatever, watching YouTube videos. You see? So ladies and gentlemen, that is a way to articulate what is going on. And if the younger people can do that, you help the older people. You help the older people, you see? But when the young people are trying to do that biological hemi-syncing and doing those experiments on their own, guys, how much are they leaving out? How much history are they leaving out? Basically, all of human history. It's like trying to reinvent the wheel, basically, or something like that. You see? But on a different, that's a bad analogy. That's a bad analogy. But you get my drift, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully these people that are around my age group, that they've already drifted, and they are in, how you say it, like a roller coaster, you could say. Like, hop in one car, into another car, into a house for one night, and then another house for another night, and they live like that. And that's no way to live, ladies and gentlemen. So for those of you in positions of authority, or if you have the tools and resources and you have dedicated your life to justice like myself, which is basically just being yourself and fighting tooth and nail to be able to be the best you could be and articulate yourself better and better. And then knowing and articulating the price that costs, because that cost has already been paid, ladies and gentlemen, and people are trying to say, nope, you have to start over again every single day, and that's not true, ladies and gentlemen. There is a compounding effect, and that same concept of compounding effect, they're twisting it and using it against me. So I have to articulate and say how I'm using that compounding effect in my way, you see, for good, you see. And then this is how they're using it in their way, you see. Surveillance, adding up charges, compounding effect that way. Stacking up money, compounding effect. Being able to do more lifts, compounding effect. That's their definition of compounding effect. Mine's is a metacognitive recollection, like environmental. You see, it's a environmental compounding effect that hopefully less and less trash gets thrown in the rivers, less and less pollution, less and less fires are started, needed to cover up or create an agenda. Because all these fires, ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand that other nations, other countries are looking at that as false flag attacks, false flag, nuclear bomb. When a nuclear silo is opened, that's how it looks like, these warehouse fires. So you have to be extremely vigilant. Shout out to Sean Ryan. So the process, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, you have to take it slow, because and that's the thing, how slow, that is it up to the individual. Because for me, well, not just for me, but you should always live in a way that it could be like indefinitely, right? So how you say, not indefinitely, but so in this current field of environment where you have technology and you have Snapchat and the Pokemon and all the, like, all these weird applications and games that mess people's psychology, and they all operate differently. You have to understand that that type of thinking is not it's not going to last forever. It's not going to stand the test of time. Now, the mentality of a farmer, that's different. That not only stands the test of time, but it gives you a measure. It gives you a measure that you can use in other parts of your life, in industry or whatever, right? A sense of time without having to count. See? So everything comes naturally to you. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you guys can understand how many people you help just by being a good person and being a contributing member to society. But that's the thing. People like to switch up, and then they call that being James Bond, right? Like they'll contribute to society 99% of the time, but that 1%, they flip it 100, like all the way over, like 180 degrees. And I mean, that's basically how, that's the thing, guys. It's understandable if you're a contributing member to society 99% of the time, and then that 1% you mess up, like, or you make a not a full 180-degree turn, but like a 90-degree turn, right? That makes sense. But to do a 180-degree turn after 99% you've been dedicated, that's not James Bond at all, guys, or that whatever, you know. And a lot of kids and people, they feel like they're gaining things by doing that, and that's not okay, ladies and gentlemen. So you have to understand these people are using their mental abilities against not only their mental abilities, but they're acting as a, like, they're mimicking the Power Rangers when they get together and then they act as a robot. They're mimicking that. So why? Because they can. It's possible because we all have the same brain, and people misuse their imagination, or they take their imagination too seriously. They take the analogies too far. So guys, basically, I'm just trying to represent myself again, so that way people understand who I am in this time of post-mass surveillance, and when they want to solidify everything or settle everything forever, or, you know, that's the lingo that's being used to describe what's going on, but they have different ways of saying that. And hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, it is not hopefully it's not kinetic, you know. And that's where justice is, guys. That's where, when they say the good die young, that's because they prove that just by them existing, it proves that there's hope. And there are people that always are hurt, that always hurt others. And those are the people that you have to isolate from the group of soccer fans, from the group of construction workers, from the group of landscapers, you see? Because those bad apples will infect others. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. For context, I was born in 1994 in this real estate development, which you could call a spark gap generator, that was built in 1996. So whoever built it, they were under that psychological, like almost MK Ultra, right? But I don't want to use that word. It was very scary for them to build that school, put it that way. They lost a lot. And what I think happened, ladies and gentlemen, thinking retroductively, following Chen Ren procedures and teachings, when they built that school, the very first, let's just say it was the Malone Brown Descendants and Friends, and whoever they were able to fool built that area, right? And then we came in with, you could say, security or police, right? Public, just being in the public. And so it's the two dynamics, right? But that's the thing. We know Mexicans built, we know we work construction, you see? But they're probably taking the credit. Anyways, the point is this, that so that in this real estate development, they're seeing that it's almost like using Chen Ren as far as the actions that have taken, place after that. And this is all without prejudice, okay? It started off being what people would call anti-gay. Or how you say, they want to say they're setting everything level and straight and stuff. But they don't know that what they're doing is that they're just killing everything. See, they don't know how to use the infrastructure. So that's where I have to explain myself and my Mexican people that helped build this real estate development, so that way they may sit under that shade, the shade of their own identity. You see, that we recognize each other. It's a mutual thing that we built this, and it's a mutual symbiotic relationship, instead of the dramas, the drug dealing routes and GTA, billions of dollars going into narratives and stuff. See, it's already there, but you just have to slowly realize what you're doing and start spiraling upwards. You see, but in this context, in the context of a World Trade Center, you spiral downwards out of the building. You see, so think critically. And if you've been living on a schedule your whole life and you don't have parents or guardians, think of yourself like you were like in a time capsule and stuff. But that's the thing, I don't know who you are, you see, because of that. So you guys have to understand that, you know, you understand, like, the environment. You see, environment, environment, and the people that know how to use this don't want you copying them, because they know you don't have parents or guardians, and they know you're lost, and they know that you don't know who you are. And these people that built this place don't want you copying them. And these are the ones that deserve the need to be anonymous. But you, or all these people, are taking that away from them because they want to be anonymous. See? That could be the people that didn't follow the reproductive rate, or that reproduced too fast, that things were not planned correctly or whatever. So ladies and gentlemen, hopefully this could bring a better way to articulate what's going on in incorporated cities, where we have at least some type of common denominator, and one of those things is currency. You see? So think about it, like all the people that accept US currency and stuff, they are the only way they were participating with the US dollar and accepting that as payment is because there's something more to discover here. And if these people, if Jaylen Brown descends some friends, if Malone Brown descends some friends, if they continue with their BS, nobody's going to use the US dollar anymore. And they're trying to blame that on me. They're trying to say that because I buy a beer, the US dollar is going down the drain. And that's another narrative I have to counter. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for your attention. I appreciate you more than you know. Thank you. Thank you so much. It feels, guys, that people, real people that can actually listen to me, hugs. Thank you.